So I was asked if I was going to address this lady that was crashing out on social media. She was on live. She's in her wedding dress. She's drinking. She is breaking down. And I finally saw it. And I'm like, I'm not going to play this particular video because obviously she's in pain and we don't have to keep replaying a person's pain over and over and over again. Just like how when news stations replay people getting taken out by cops, we don't have to keep doing that. But we know and understand that clearly this woman thought that she had found her life partner. So the woman who took her live and posted it, captioned it, "This is the outcome of your first heartbreak. I feel like all women have been through this. Pray for her, y'all." But the thing is, this is not even her first heartbreak. She says she had kids and the father of her children walked away and she waited on this man like God sent her this man. So here's Kiki. Kiki is the lady in the wedding dress. So here's Kiki, and she's uploaded her wedding video. And she captioned it, "If you would have told me 6 months from now that he wouldn't feel like this no more, I would never believe it." So this was 6 months ago. He started acting like that he was cheating on her within 6 months. But actually, I saw that he was cheating on her pretty much since day one. And I be looking at these dudes like, how do they have the audacity to look like they look and cheat on the women that they finally captured or whatnot? I just don't get it. But this woman was in love. She really thought that God has sent her this man.
All right, babe, I'm gonna go to Aldi's. Do you need me to get you anything?
No, babe, I'm good.
Just look at this dude.
Be careful out there.
All right, babe. I'll be back soon. I love you.
Just look at him.
Hello?
Hey, babe, I miss you. What you doing?
Same thing I was doing when you left.
So I don't know if you could hear what she was saying or what the video was about, but obviously she just can't stay away from her man. And I really do believe that so many of these women just have to be in a relationship. These marriages become like the pinnacle, like, finally getting that ring, finally having that wedding. I finally did it. And this is the reason why I will continue to say women have got to stop making being a wife and a mother their whole personality, because when things crumble, they crumble hard. Look at her. She is adorable. She is a freaking cutie pie. Here is another picture of this woman. She is a hottie, but she's been reduced down to crying on live over this dude that don't look like he's worth anything, like a homosexual that took up room on her couch and burrowed in. He's been with her for 6 months and couldn't even keep up the facade for 6 months. I need to read this caption to you. She says, "I've been around here making TikToks, screaming about how happy and in love I am, telling other women that your happiness will come. Just be patient. I've been getting cheated on for 7 months straight." I am such a clown. I'm sorry to all the ladies that I said you can be happy and have a man that loves you. That's an absolute lie. Once I get out of this mess, I'll never be the same version of me again. He took that from me. If you saw this video, you could just see the pain coming from this woman. Like, literally, I need women to stop loving these dudes more than they love themselves, because the way he broke her down, she is never going to be the same, just like she said right here. And when men come onto social media and they talk about women and how women need to get therapy and unpack that trauma, they use these therapy speak type of terms to talk to women, to talk about women, to degrade women for the things that these cheaters do to these women. And it's just horrific. But once women become apathetic and leave these dudes alone and say, you know what, never mind, and other women see how these men are treating women and decide that it's not worth it, and they say, I would rather not. I would rather just be single right now versus going through the stress of being in a relationship, being cheated on, being left to do all of the parenting because they can just walk away. Why shouldn't I just be single right now without all of that extra, without all of the extra steps? So many people want women to get into these relationships, but oh my gosh, when women post the things that they're going through, they'll be like, why are you posting this? Yes, I see you're hurting, but why are you posting this? Other women need to see what's going on. I think that these are some cautionary tales that I will continue to say, stop loving these dudes and these relationships more than you love yourself. Let's look at a few of the comments underneath her wedding video that she showed. Tokozo says, I'm going to cheat on these men for the rest of my life, just for you. And then the person under that said, that's sisterhood. Now, Lonnie, a man, doesn't like the fact that a woman said that she's just going to that she's going to cheat. He says that's 304 thinking and movement. A narcissist will always use an excuse to condone their regular toxic traits. You made me suck this cucumber. The thing is, people use the word narcissist wrong. That's not what a narcissist is, but these people learn a word, they hear a word, and they just want to use it. This is the reason why you don't listen to these people, because they don't know definitions. At the bottom, that person, SN, says, no, it's fornication. They don't want women to start acting like these dudes be acting. Polka says, they said never love a man more than he loves you. And we're going to get to this lesson. We're going to keep hammering this lesson. Stop loving these dudes and these relationships and getting a ring more than you love yourself. If you get to that point where you can just be like, oh, you want to be a cheater? I bet. Go ahead and leave. Leave these people alone. If they start betraying you every which way, leave them alone. Don't cry over sewage water. This dude is straight up sewage water. And whoever he cheated with, I saw somewhere that it might have been her friend. She's sewage water too. Leave these people alone. Just leave them alone. You haven't invested that much time and energy. Leave these people alone. Britt Bat said, I learned that lesson the hard way, single until. And then Maya says, the worst, for real. Spent years trying to prove myself worthy to be loved. It was hard, especially when they love bomb you. You felt like I was going crazy. That's exactly what he did to her. And that's the reason why she's crashing out. And I want women to get to the point where they don't crash out over these dudes. They just leave them alone and say, I bet. You want to be community peen? Go be community peen out of my house. The way he was laid up on her couch, you could tell that that was her couch. And he's just a pest that needs to nest and rest. And he couldn't even keep the facade going. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think about the lady that crashed out in her wedding dress. Join the conversation and keep in mind, don't love these men in relationships more than you love yourself. So I am consistently talking about the risk and the pitfalls that go along with being a stay-at-home mom or a trad wife. And I had this conversation going on a couple of days ago. And this woman, Nocturne Crows, decided to jump in. She says, let me get settled, then share the trad wife mess that my neighbor is going through now. I'm also very thankful that I have women across the globe that chime in and let us know what's going on with the women in their communities. So let's look at what she shared with me. She says, I'm back. So here's the story. I am from East Africa, and my next door neighbor where I lived had a husband, wife, and 4 children. The man was the sole provider and the woman a housewife, typical of a lot of African families. The man worked hard at his jobs and financially provided for his families. The kids went to relatively good private schools. 2 years ago, literally a week after Easter weekend, the man went out of town for work. He woke up Saturday morning not feeling well. Apparently, he had issues with his blood pressure and diabetes. He spoke on the phone with his wife, who told him to seek medical help immediately, but he didn't listen nor seek medical attention. Late afternoon, he was out at a construction site when he suddenly collapsed. They rushed him to the hospital, but he didn't make it. They called his family later that night. The man didn't draft any will. After the funeral, his wife had to go through his things just to find his bank cards. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Where I'm from, when the man dies, it's almost expected that his side of the family will try to take everything he left behind, no matter how much. It's so evil, they don't even care that the man has a family that need the estate. It seems that his relatives knew of assets that his own wife wasn't aware of. The widow was left in a financial mess. It doesn't seem like she even knew the extent of her husband's estate. Because she had been a housewife for over 20 years, she had practically nothing. She had to move the 3 younger kids to public school, which these days is free, but you could say low quality. She found out the man entered into a partnership involving a petrol station. She went to see the other business partners to figure out her now deceased husband's share of the business, but they shut the door in her face. As with the relatives, the deceased husband allegedly owned a couple hundred cows, which if you sell them all, you make about 6 figures in dollars. That would have provided for the kids, but the relatives sold them and split the money amongst themselves. The woman was harassed by her in-laws, frequent phone calls threatening her with what, I don't have the details. She used to be plus size. In 2 years, she severely lost weight due to stress. There are these groups where someone can borrow money, let's say to start a small business, but you have to pay it back at the required time frame, and they are known for harassing those who borrow. Allegedly, she borrowed a lot, so basically they are loan sharks. Payment is per the group's constitution or the bylaws, in other words. Some of these loans don't expire after the death of the borrower. There were 2 small stores she set up after being left a widow to provide for herself and her kids, but one closed. My guess is because she couldn't afford the government taxes. I don't know about the other one. Earlier this month, she left the house to go to one part of the city to buy groceries. She never came back home. On her way back, she collapsed near the stalls by the road. A good Samaritan rushed her to the hospital. She was in a bad state and couldn't speak. They had to move her SIM card to another phone and look for someone. Her eldest was called a couple of hours later. She rushed to the hospital. They moved her to another hospital to get better care, but she died there. Turns out the last 2 years, she also developed heart problems and ulcers, health issues she didn't have when her husband was alive. The high stress from the financial ruin and the repeated threats from her in-laws, and I guess the debt she had, drove her to her grave. Her birthday was exactly the week before. Now it's 4 orphans left next door. The eldest finished university sometime last year, but our job market is complete right now. She hasn't found work yet. I myself am still looking after my contract at my previous job ended. The second and third child are in high school. The youngest is in his final year of middle school. As I write this, he has no idea his mother is no more and will not be told because there are final exams he has to do. And when his dad died, he was so devastated, it affected his performance at school. By the time he finds out, she would be dead for almost 2 months. I sit and think every day about their fate. Someone overheard during mourning that one of their mom's relatives are conspiring to sell property behind their backs, probably the same home next door. They are looking at complete destitution. So now they have greedy predators from both sides of the family. I am tired of people calling the deceased husband a good man. No, the F he wasn't. No good man would leave their family in a horrible position knowing he is the sole provider to 5 people and has underlying health conditions. A will in my country is literally 3 to 4 pages long, and he never bothered writing one. He had retired, and instead of withdrawing his Social Security, he didn't. The deceased widow was told she couldn't withdraw the rest for 3 years. I repeat, in our cultures, it has been so normalized to expect your in-laws to come after the men's estate should he die. This is especially if he was known to be doing well financially. A lot of us know this. Despite this, men, especially the boomer generation, still don't take estate planning seriously. There is very stupid, superstitious beliefs that drafting your will and other forms of estate planning is predicting is predicting your own death. No, idiots, we're all going to die one day. If you have family, you need to prepare. I can't tell you the struggle that wives here have, both stay-at-home moms and working women, in convincing their husbands to draft even simple wills. I have accepted that attaching yourself to a man alone is a risk of financial ruin. Like, how many examples do they need to know they need to take estate planning seriously? Also, if they don't trust their wives with financial information, why the F marry them then? How do you deem someone as not worthy of trust with assets that the family depends on, but apparently trustworthy enough to marry and have kids with? Where is the logic in this? As far as I'm concerned, being a stay-at-home mom should be considered self-deletion. You just die slow. What she said at the end, I'm going to repeat. As far as I'm concerned, being a stay-at-home mom should be considered self-deletion. You just die slow. If you live in a culture that just rips away all of your assets because your husband dies, they don't give a damn if you die, if your kids die. I couldn't imagine being in that situation and seeing this happen around you and still deciding to go through with this type of thing. I know it's cultural, I know it's conditioned, I know it's traditional or whatnot, and she didn't specifically tell me which East African country she's in. But this is deplorable. Why are you stripping away assets and basically leaving these people for dead? What's the purpose in even saying women should have all these kids if you're going to let them wither and not care and just take away all the things that they have for survival's sake? This is disgusting. And I don't really know how you can game plan against this outside of not having babies and getting married in this country. This country sounds like they don't give a damn about women and children at all and will just let them die. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you see in your culture, your country. Let's keep the conversation going. So I was sent this in my overreacting post. Here we have a boundary pusher. This dude is a Jehovah's Witness and he took her to a meeting without telling her. He's 20, she's 18. Let's look at the caption before I show you the screenshots. She says, we've been dating for like 2 months. So 2 months and he's a boundary pusher. He's really sweet and spoils me. However, I'm still irked and something feels off and I just can't let it go. Yesterday we hung out and when I brought it up again, he shut it down. He somehow makes me think it's nothing and changes the subject and I don't even notice it. I don't want to keep nagging him, but I'm still not satisfied. My friends say I overthink and ruin good things, but I can't let it go. I'm still upset it happened, but I don't know if I'm overdoing it. I promise you I'm not discriminating his religion. It's just weird. This whole thing is. Am I overreacting? I'm not confrontational. I just need advice. And she says, also, this is a throwaway. This is where I was tagged in. The thing is, it is weird. Cults are weird. You don't want to get sucked into them. So you can discriminate. You can discriminate against cults. You can absolutely discriminate against cults. I am all for it. Anyways, let's look at the text messages. I read through these text messages yesterday, and as I was reading them, I was very uncomfortable for this woman. I mean, this young lady, she's only 18. She might not have the tools to push back against these boundary pushers, but just listen to how this man is talking to her. He says, hey, you've been quiet all day. You haven't returned any of my calls. Is everything okay? She says, sorry, I'm fine. Just needed a little time to think about last night. He says, the meeting part? I thought you enjoyed it, babe. She says, yeah, it was okay, I guess. I thought this surprise would maybe be something more casual like a dinner or a film, not this, to be honest. He says, it was a surprise though, a good one. I wanted to show you something really personal, something that's important to me. I thought this is the part of getting to know each other thing. She says, I get that, and I guess that makes sense, but I didn't even know you were a Jehovah's Witness, and you didn't even tell me until you took me there. I feel like you should have told me, you know? She says, I thought you were Christian. He says, I am. It's just a branch of it. I didn't mean to hide it. It just never came up naturally. I thought it would be better if you saw for yourself instead of believing what people say about it. She says, I don't know. I just feel caught off guard and I didn't know anyone. He says, yes, but you were amazing, honestly. Everyone noticed how warm and kind you are, and they loved meeting you. She says, really? So he's flattering her right here. Flattery. She says, really? And then he says, I'm not joking, babe. They were all fond of you. She says, thanks. I appreciated it. It's just I felt a little out of place, you know. He says, that's because it's a new experience for you, and that's okay. And she says, maybe I was a little uncomfortable too. Now he's telling her how she feels. You weren't uncomfortable, really. You just didn't know, and now you do. And the night went great. Wouldn't you agree? So he's telling her how she feels, and he's getting her to agree with his assessment of how she feels. And she does. She says, I guess so. Then he says, you could have left any time, but you didn't. And that's because you were open to understanding something new. And that says a lot about you, babe. More flattery, like, see, look how open you are. And she says, I didn't see it that way, so thank you. And so now her brain is a little confused because at first she was uncomfortable and now she's like, oh, okay. And now he says, I'm proud of you for giving it a chance. Don't overthink it, please. And then she says, thank you, and I won't. So with this, he managed to take her from being uncomfortable because, yes, Jehovah Witnesses should be I shouldn't say that. She went from being uncomfortable to being kind of flattered, but she knows that something is not right. That's the reason why she came to Reddit. There are some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses in the comments, so I'm just going to jump right in. Comprehensive Peace says, as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, this is so crazy because I know they bombarded you all meeting. He definitely took you to a meeting to try to convert you because Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe in relationships with worldly or non-witness people. Girl, run. Edit. Any of my comments are just my experience growing up. I'm glad some of you had better ones. I'm sure area plays a huge part on this. To those with similar experiences, I'm sorry. It feels good to know I'm not the only one, though. Here to Help says, yes, that's the love bombing stage before they start reprogramming people through FOG, F-O-G, fear, obligation, guilt. Fear, obligation, guilt. I knew nothing of that acronym. When Jehovah's Witnesses say making your mind over, they are clearly talking about brainwashing. Comprehensive Peace says, yes, if OP doesn't leave soon, she will be guilted into dropping her non-believing friends and family. They have no problem disfellowshipping you, literally shunning you for breaking rules. I'm surprised he even started dating OP unless he's not strong in the faith. Asking someone to drop holidays and family 2 months into dating is ridiculous. And don't forget, if you're on the verge of death and need a blood transfusion, you're screwed. Happy Gal says he's dating her specifically to convert her. The love bombing and isolation is part of the brainwashing. The young men get the girls interested, but then won't commit to boyfriend-girlfriend status because she's not fill in the blank, i.e. part of his boyfriend's true church, saved with Christ, Christian, following the correct path of Christ, etc. Maybe this is the book, The Way Down. God, Greed, and the Cult of Gwen Shamblin lays this out beautifully. A couple lost their daughter to that cult. Very eye-opening and sad. OP, the docuseries I mentioned above is a good one for you to watch so you can see that this guy is following a Christian dating script to convert you. Grim is Calling says, thanks for the book rec. I've been on a weird bender reading nonfiction work about Bundy sex. I'll now be adding this to the list. And then Happy Gal says, oh, I was mentioning the docuseries on HBO Max. I'm not sure it is a book as well. At the bottom it says, other goodies regarding how young Christian males are using dating to recruit young females. And then she gives more of a listing. Hillsong Church docuseries, I think that's on Prime. Shiny Happy People focuses on IBLP Prime. I did see Shiny Happy People. I don't know if any are in print, but all of these touch on a lot of the purity gospel and dating/courting for Christ. Best of luck. I enjoy reading as well. If you have any recommendations, please share. And then with the look of Quo says, Jesus Camp is another good one that's extra disturbing. Happy Gal says, oh yes, I think it's on Netflix. Thank you for suggesting this one as well. I haven't heard of Jesus Camp. That does sound interesting. Particular Cycle says, it really is just so sad that they do this kind of and they use the Bible to say that everything they said is true when it's not. Jesus literally says in the Bible, you do not need a church or a building. You need to believe in him. So all the rules are just BS. Net Kitten says, came here to say this. He's trying to groom her to convert. It's sick. Alarmed Rabbit says, I agree. Cults have to bring outsiders in sometimes. So there's not as much inbreeding going on like the Amish have problems with. Ew. Omniphilo says, the disfellowship thing is crazy. One of my best buds growing up is JW, and he was shunned for getting to second base with a girl. His own mother wouldn't speak to him, would leave his dinner by the door without even a knock. He wasn't invited to the dinner table. That was his life from 14 to 18 when he got accepted back into the church and agreed to marry the girl who was also shunned. They got like 5 kids now and don't talk to us anymore. He was a good guy. I was an atheist and would debate with him. He'd chuckle and say things like, Satan put dinosaurs here to deceive you, bud. I miss that knucklehead. And like the person says, like 6 kids, they are now brainwashing to think like that. Yikes. Absolutely yikes. Stephen Hicks the first says, he literally told you that you weren't uncomfortable. He told you, no, you felt like this. That's cult/kidnapping level gaslighting. I've been to one of these meetings. They looked at you like a new piece of meat. Run for the hills. And then the OP says, every person there said hello to me and made me feel so welcome, but not once I felt at ease because they were there to program you and try to get into your head. Of course you're not feeling comfortable. And then Pitch Purple says, because they're trying to entrap you and using kindness as a tool. God, I wish I had read it in my 20s. Listen to these comments. They are spot on. Middle Accountant asks, do you want to be a Jehovah's Witness? Like long term with this guy, that's what's going to happen. And then the OP says, after reading everyone's comments, this has been very eye-opening and I'm going to make my decision soon. And no, I have no plans of being a Jehovah's Witness. Edit. I am overwhelmed with all this new and insightful information. Everyone's telling me to dump him right away. Let me think about this and I will make my decision. I've been dating this guy and I can't switch my feelings off like a tap. I appreciate everyone's input. I just need time to think what is best for me and how to move forward. My heart is hurting. She doesn't do an update yet. I did go back and check. There's no updates after that particular one. I took these screenshots when this had been posted for just 7 hours, and in that time it had nearly 10,000 comments already. People were really riled up about this. This is going to be the last comment I do though. So right away, anyway, says OP, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness without even getting into the cult-like aspects or red flags, which might explain why he's so comfortable dismissing your discomfort. I can say with confidence that he will try to convert you. He's already starting. JWs aren't supposed to date outside their faith, and dating is generally seen as a step towards marriage. The fact that he didn't tell you beforehand already shows there's a conflict between what he believes and what he's doing. If you have no plans to become a Jehovah's Witness, I really encourage you to walk away now. So many people are saying that, and that's absolutely what needs to happen. However, she's 18. It's going to take her a moment to absorb all of this information. Hopefully she does that, because so many people start to do things like trying to rationalize. They try to stick and stay, and then next thing you know, it's 2 years later, and then they'll use that as an excuse for why they didn't walk away. But I don't know if he can even stay dating her if she doesn't decide to convert. Anyways, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment.
I had to block so many people this morning because I made a post where I'm encouraging young women to stop worrying about relationships and marriage and just focus on their education and doing the things they want to do in life. And I've had to block so many men because they're putting angry face not emojis, but the reaction. I've had to block men because they're commenting, telling me that I'm stupid and that my advice is wrong. Young women, moms, sisters, besties, this should be your sign. These men don't care about you. They want your world to revolve around them. A good man would not want you to give up on your goals. Okay? It is 2025, okay? And I don't know about y'all. Y'all might be able to share a story about something your grandma told you, but my grandmama told me, now I was hard-headed and had to learn the hard way, but my grandmama told me to not worry about marriage, to travel the world and to get my education. And that woman was married when she was 13 and had 12 kids. There was a reason our grandmamas told us that. They knew. They lived in a time where they didn't have a choice but to be mothers and wives and have their world revolve around their family. We actually, well, I don't know with everything that's going on, but at the current moment, we actually can go to school. We actually have a choice over how we want to live our lives. And I think it's insane if you don't take that opportunity. And any man that's telling you you're wrong for that is insane and somebody that you need to stay away from.